We have a question again through the anonymous text line. Thoughts on starting your partnered sexual journey later than usual? So maybe in your mid to late 20s or beyond that.
Returning to this idea.
Question or just I'm sorry, was it just thoughts on? Or was there a question?
I feel like that is the question that also ends with not asking for a friend. So it sounds like this particular person is maybe starting their sexual journey with other people a little bit later than what we consider like the norm. If the norm is, I don't know, early 20s, late teens. So thoughts on, or maybe advice for someone starting that journey later.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we're wrapping up tonight on that
great
idea.
Time to start sex, right? Like,
right.
Like we know ourselves and we're able to have different kinds of conversations when we're older. Like, I think that's I always think there's this really strong idea that there's a normal time to start sex, and the idea of when that normal time is, like, I look and think about when my normal time was versus when I was in my mid 20s, and I trust my mid 20s self more than I trust my, younger self. So I would just say, like, what an amazing time to start having sex.
Yeah. I think this conversation, I think, happened once, didn't it, on the Mystery Box stage? And I've talked to a lot of clients about this. I do think again, our culture sort of tells us there's this like peak late teen, early 20 time that everybody is figuring everything out. But a lot of people, that's not true. A lot of people are figuring things out late 20s and well beyond that. And it doesn't get talked about, again, because of shame. People think they're doing it wrong. And so then they're not talking about it. And so then you're not hearing about it. And it's perpetuating this idea that there was a right time. But it is not that uncommon in my, anecdotal experience with clients. A lot of people are starting with other folks or with themselves considerably later in life than we normally hear about. And that's fine. And you're right. Like, that's great. I made better choices in my 20s than I did at 17, 18 for sure.
Yeah. There's a misconception that the sex we were having earlier was good sex. I'm not saying no one had, right. And I'm not saying no one had good sex, but a lot of the cis women in my life didn't have orgasms until their early to mid 20s, sometimes not even until they were in their late 20s, early 30s, weren't having like really good sex. And it was because they knew their bodies better, and they were also very vocal about their bodies and what they needed in order to get to a certain place. That's something that you don't always come into when you're younger. So I'm for it. I also feel like you have a better pool of experience. Like if you're 17 and having sex with 17-year-old, that's what you got. That's what you have. There's not a lot to everybody's in that. We don't know what we're doing. So if you're like 22, 23, not saying you're not going to meet some people who don't know what they're doing, but you have a wider pool. Also, it is so much more appropriate for you to be dating a 30-year-old when you're 23 than when you're 17. So if you go that route for some experience, it's okay and legal. So okay.
And I would say if someone focuses on that idea, then that's more about them than it is about you. Right. Like that tells you everything you need to know about how they're probably going to approach it.